But with the Democrat, this doesn't happen, we're going to go bankrupt.
Yes.
There's no.
Oh, I'm
I think there might be dead people still working, or people who don't even work for the government just getting a check. It's hard to fathom.
right. It is hard to fathom that.
Yeah. But with that large of workforce, it's like, oh, we're live. Okay.
Just test.
Test. Test. Test. Test. Test. Test.
Say test.
Test.
Sure.
All right, just say
Test.
What a delay.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. What is it? Kind of delayed?
On the live stream.
Test. Check. 1 2 check.
Okay, so
I'll probably be talking about this loud.
Here he's going to the live. That's what.
Is that gonna work?
Audio to you guys.
Okay.
So just the audio, just kind of make sure
Okay.
is going to run the show, and just make sure you're close to the mouth.
So he's a commentator.
Doing all the commentary.
Right. I don't think.
Somebody's controlling the volume.
Turn what down.
He's in control of the volume. Just make sure once you guys start talking and
I think it's fine.
Okay.
we'll kind of stick with that.
You can open and record. A little bit of airflow, but
You
I
can
don't.
open it.
So we probably don't want that.
Joe's going to run everything.
I like the AC.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't.
I'm not opposed to it.
All right.
Okay. You guys
Time
need
is
anything else?
Oh, you got a minute. We got a minute.
If you want
I'm
to
good.
go live right now,
How are you temperature wise?
60 people.
It's just me.
So just so you know,
What's that? Go ahead.
Just so you know, we are live. So we are on Facebook Live. It's running. Just so you know. He's going to announce it.
For those online, we'd like to welcome you to the Warsaw, Illinois Mayoral Candidate Forum. We have Richard Haas, Glenn McLaughlin, and Jeff Brookhart tonight. And we will be getting the forum underway shortly. Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to the Warsaw Mayoral Candidate Forum tonight. Appreciate you guys all coming out and to meet the candidates. We have a very capable crew here this evening. I'd like to thank Alex and Cody and Gabe Nagy, Alex Nagy and Cody Kanaki for setting all the audio video up tonight. And Cass Allen and the Warsaw Chamber of Commerce, Missy Finch, for setting up a refreshment table. And I appreciate all you guys for coming as well. Just an introduction real quick. I'll just go down the line here. We have Richard Hawk, Glenn McLaughlin, and Jeff Brookhart, candidates for the Warsaw Mayor. And so we will start the evening off by letting you know a little bit about how we're going to do things tonight and the rules. We're going to start out with each candidate, have up to 2 minutes to introduce themselves and provide a brief background to the audience and those online. Following the introductions, we'll proceed to have a moderated Q&A session. So I don't look for it to be, any sort of ruckus or anything like that, but I'll be moderating, I guess. And the candidates will have, they'll have up to 5 minutes per question to respond. Questions that a team of people put together to hopefully get some ideas on what the candidates' thoughts are on helping the town. The goal of this forum is to provide Warsaw residents with a clear understanding of each candidate's vision, priorities, and plans for the city. So without any further delay, I'll go ahead and start out with Richard. I'll go ahead and give us an introduction.
Should we stand or sitting's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, I think sitting's fine, yeah.
Use my microphone? Oh.
Hey, do we have an idea?
Okay. Well, my name is Richard Hawk. I usually go by Rick.
For the questions?
I've been around Warsaw all my life. I left for a short time for a job opportunity because, well, I just wanted a different thing. So when I left, before I left, I was running the water district here in town. I run it for about 15 years. And that was prior to the new plant being built. Once I left here, I went down to Common Field, which basically is in East St. Louis. I run a water district there. I was a general manager. I was in charge of all the financing and bonds, everything. You know, it's a lot of work just running a city. The budget at Common Fields is bigger than Warsaw has because it was a very big district. And we did quite well down there. I was able to lower the water rate and pay off bonds 12 years prior to, because they weren't called. So I refinanced them, paid them off in 2 years compared to 12 years. And that was a huge saving for the water debt. And after that, it was getting too down there. So I just take a job in West Chicago, which is basically Chicago. I helped run a water treatment plant very similar to Warsaw's. It's got a clerical, and clerical is the biggest in the United States. They're huge, but whether they're 12 foot, 60 foot, they operate the same. So I'm quite familiar with that. I'm familiar with Warsaw because of working in the city of Warsaw for as long as I did. I know the infrastructure, I know the businesses, and there's very little new stuff in Warsaw. So it's got a struggle. It really does. But I think we can get through it. It's just going to take time. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Richard. And we'll go ahead and move on to Glenn.
Okay, I'm been a Warsaw resident for about 13 years now. My wife Patty, of course, everybody's had her hair cut once by her. Not going on. How about that? Okay, I've been a Warsaw resident for 13 years, and my wife Patty has been here all her life. Probably cut everybody's hair once in a while. But I was a defense contractor for 32 years, vice president of a company that was a defense contractor, FEMA, and managed the companies for two of them there. One in St. Louis, one in Washington, D.C. We did all the charts for the pilots, all the charts for the soldiers, the dogs, all that kind of stuff. And we were under a 28-day cycle where there was not allowed to be anything late. So as far as redundant things, fixing things, problems like that, I've been through it all, including whether everybody was running out of DC and I was running. That's when I came here. I lived in Palmyra for a while, ran the facility in St. Louis. And when I came over here to Patty, I just noticed that what was going on is what I had seen back east in DC is they don't care about the small towns. we are a tax burden and they're greedy. And my vision here is to incorporate a little bit of Hamilton people and us into a large group of people so that we have a better force of maintaining Warsaw. And one of the things that I mentioned, when we first started, Patty and I, we created a community picnic, and it was a free event. It sponsors paid for and all that. Well, there was a little town back east that reminded me of this one, and it's a Thurmont, Maryland, and it's called Fall Festival. And they have streets like Warsaw does. And they started out in 1963. And we now are the largest track festival on the East Coast, where thousands of people come. And then you collect revenue and all like that, and it helps everybody out money-wise. But town stays pretty much the same size and all. So that's one of the issues that I have. And the road, things like that, we all know that takes money. So we have to find grants, proposals, contracts and stuff. So that's pretty much about me.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And next we'll go on with
Good evening. My name is Jeff Brookhart, as mentioned, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys tonight. This one red. Yeah, it went red, now it's back to green. All right.
mute on this computer.
For those who don't know me, I was raised here in Warsaw. I graduated from high school in '97. A few years after graduation, I moved to Quincy, and that's where I met my wife. We got married in 2015. We started our own business in 2015, and about a year later, we expanded to a second business. And we know what it's like for the struggles of your own business. About 2 years after we got married, we both joined the Hannibal JCs, and we loved the organization so much, we just kept driving with it. We actually helped start the junior JCs to help the youth in the community kind of get more involved with things going around. And then in 2020, COVID hit, as everybody knows. We were forced to close our business because we were non-essential. We moved back here, and in 2021, I was elected as third ward alderman, where I've been probably serving as you guys' alderman. I've seen all the challenges that we have for our city, and there's a lot of work. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping around. If elected mayor, I commit to bring the same energy and commitment to our town and the vision that I believe would be simple yet powerful to enhance our town and community and embracing the future. I believe we need to bring more businesses back in on Main Street. I lost myself. And I believe we need to and I believe that the younger generation and leadership will bring new, fresh ideas together to brighten the future for Warsaw. With your support, we can build a bright future the best days of Warsaw are right ahead of us.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. All right, so what we're going to do is we have questions for the candidates to answer, to give us their thoughts on. And we'll rotate through them, starting with one candidate and then going through the three. There won't be adversary, types of things. It'll be just, what are your thoughts? What do you feel about these questions that we have? And so, for instance, the first time I'll start with Richard. The second question I'll start with Glenn, and the third question I'll start with Jeff. We'll just rotate through so each can be the first person to answer going through the questions. So, and we've got, several questions. So, we want to make sure everybody has enough time to voice their views. And so, again, there'll be 5 minutes per candidate per question. So, like I keep saying, we don't want to stall too much. We want to keep things rolling. So, the first question will go to Richard, and as the first candidate to answer. And so the first has to do with time constraints and time commitments and priorities. The job of a mayor, I was just talking with somebody else about this earlier today, was it's kind of a thankless job, and so it takes time, it takes a lot of commitment. So the first question is about time commitments and priorities. So considering your current professional and/or personal commitments, how do you plan to allocate sufficient time and effort to fulfill the responsibilities of the mayoral office? So go ahead, Richard.
And Richard, and all you guys, make sure you talk close to your mouth, just so the rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah. The closer the better.
Social better. All right. I am retired, and I'm not currently looking for a job. Running for mayor of Warsaw. So I'm going to be a mayor. I have kids that don't live in Warsaw. I do spend some time away, but they spend an awful lot of time here because of what we can offer the grant. We keep it. Love them to death. And they love coming to Warsaw because of what it offers compared to the big cities where they live. So I will have sufficient time. Also, the mayor is not the only one in the city. There are 6 of them in this town. And they have responsibility also with different wards to assist in, answering a lot of questions, taking some time. It's not only the mayor that takes care of this. It should also be the council, because they are the ones that actually vote on different referendums, anything else. So it's not just a one-man policy. And, it's a volunteers and everything else. But
You got it? Okay. Obviously, you're retired. So I Rick, but and I also went to a lot of time management classes earlier in my leadership things. So I'm pretty familiar with tightening up the belts for time, and the commitment to that. I'm like around the time you might see me on orange track with a black truck, with a white dog. But anyway, I'm usually around and have allocate the time, and I've already thought about things to tighten up the ships as far as time.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. So appreciate it. And so Jeff, we'll move on to you as far as time commitments and priorities. Considering your current professional and personal commitments, how do you plan to allocate sufficient time and effort to fulfill the responsibilities of the new office?
One thing I learned from owning my own business is time management. There's times you have to do this, that, try to figure things out. At any given time, Beer's got a hold of me throughout the day, calls me up, I make time, I run over to town, talk to him, stop in the mornings, talk to him. I'm always a phone call away. My job's pretty flexible. So I'm available pretty much 24/7. Even I've had citizens stop me and talk to me, call me up all hours of the night, always answer my phone. I'm always available.
All right, thank you, Jeff. One thing, one of the sponsors, I guess, that you want to call it that was instrumental in making this event happen was the Warsaw Chamber of Commerce, made up of local businesses. And so the second question, and Glenn will be the first one for the answer, is as far as support for small businesses, what specific initiatives would you implement to support and promote small businesses in Warsaw, ensuring their growth and sustainability?
One of the things that I've been checking out is grants for small businesses and stuff. They're hard to get, but as I said, I've worked with the federal government for 30 some years and kind of no way they work. And I want to promote the businesses, like I said earlier about Thermon. I can vision this place. We now have a car show, here, and then it goes to Nauvoo. Carlisle did the same thing, but now passes about 1 million people through their gate a year. It's a 5-day event. I think that we need to have small shops and crafts and stuff like that. And what I've seen around here as far as the talent, it's all here. It just needs to be organized and pushed and promoted on a scheduled event, which is what I would like to see for Warsaw. And it has to be a community togetherness thing, not just me promoting it or my wife promoting it or whatever. We have to pitch in, and I believe we can turn a lot of it around. And one of the sad things that when I first came out here with Larry Tanner, I used to help him on his farm, and he drove me around and showed me Stillwell and West Point and all like that, and it just broke my heart because I could see what was going on was actually a reality, not what I'd heard in D.C., but it was actually a reality going on in small towns. And I think that between Hamilton and us and Nauvoo, we can put together quite a few things to promote some small businesses and events. So that's my.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. So I'm going to repeat the question for each candidate so that they can hopefully helps them focus too. So I'm sorry if I feel repetitive, but I feel like I want to do that for each candidate. So Jeff, as far as support for small businesses, what specific initiatives would you implement to support and promote small businesses in Warsaw, ensuring their growth and sustainability?
I plan to work on streamlining the process for opening and expanding businesses in Warsaw. Excuse me. Ensuring that permits and funding opportunities are clear and accessible. I know firsthand how important it is to have an efficient system in place. I want to remove any barriers or possible obstacles for business owners. I personally believe that networking and professional development is crucial for small business owners. I would plan to collaborate events with local community colleges that offer classes centered on small businesses, such as workshops, and allow business owners a chance to learn topics in marketing, managing cash flow, and customer service. Without customer service, you're going to have your repeated customers, then there goes your business. It's all about customer service. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I'll go to Rick now. Rick, as far as support for small businesses, what specific initiatives would you implement to support and promote small businesses in Warsaw to ensure their growth and sustainability?
Okay. Years ago, I owned a tavern here in town. I owned, a business. At that point in time, there were 7 taverns. We all struggled, but we all made livings, plus a club, which would be the VFW. Now we have no bars except for the VFW. All the other ones are basically restaurants. So the climate's changing. And for me, I think the best for me, they have the chamber and the Lions Club. They are assisting a lot in this town currently. I have an open door policy because these current owners in town, in other words, will bring ideas to me. They know their own businesses by far better than I do. I ran a bar. I can tell bar owners I can fix a drink, but the restaurant end of it and things like that, the sewing shops, the different possibilities. And part of that is going to be getting the main street where it's usable. It's not now. There's been some buildings being worked on. Hopefully that continues. And we're just a small community, a veteran community, and that's the way it's going to be. So the small businesses are going to have to just kind of join together and survive.
All right, thank you, Rick. Rick, appreciate that, and touched on a little bit about Main Street. So the next question, which is probably on a lot of folks' minds, is infrastructure and road maintenance in town. This is a very difficult subject. I've been involved with in some way for over the years in different ways. There's not a good answer. So, Jeff, you'll be the first person to respond. Infrastructure and road maintenance. What are your plans for improving and maintaining Warsaw's roads and overall infrastructure? How do you intend to prioritize and fund these projects?
Your answer to be the first thing. A lot of people don't realize we have more miles of street per capita than we do population. And unfortunately, as small as we are, we don't get a lot of money in the streets. So it's very hard to figure out where we're going to put everything at. The roads are junk. It happens. Best thing to do is we try to get some more grant money and we can fix our roads right. So that way we can fix it once and we don't have to worry about it. Kind of like, don't touch it more than once unless we're going to maintain it. So this and then everybody out fix potholes all the time. Hopefully we can just rebuild our roads. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of money. So hopefully we get some more grant money. I'd like to plan out a clear route for everybody to see. That way they know at any given time, these are roads we're going to be working on throughout the years. And that's it.
All right, thanks, Jeff. So next we'll have Rick. Infrastructure and road maintenance. What are your plans for improving and maintaining Warsaw's roads and overall infrastructure? How do you intend to prioritize and fund these projects? Also,
I remember all the names. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that. I am sorry about that.
Yes. No,
Rick. Yeah, no, it's Rick. It's to you, Rick. Sorry. Okay.
Well, with the infrastructure in Warsaw, the roads are terrible. They're going to be terrible for a long time because it's going to take a huge sum of money. Money's not available anymore. The grants are the only opportunity we're going to have. And grants are going to be written by grant people. Those are the best people to do this in-house. You have people that get paid to do this. Because they get paid, every grant costs the community money. It's not free to have somebody write a grant. So we have to pick and choose where we're gonna go with some of these grants. We have to choose which ones we feel that we're gonna qualify for, because if we could waste $50,000 on one grant. It's that easy. Also, we can work with the county. The county has a road crew. They have the equipment, they have the knowledge. We may be able to work with them to assist us in some of our road programs, and costs may be lower for us per foot. And it would assist the county, because if we're paying for their personnel to be doing our roads, they're off the county's cost. So that saves the county money, and that leaves them extra money. So it's a win-win for both of us. Just like us assisting on the Warsaw Hamilton Blacktop and pulling a little bit of maintenance for them. They got that little dab of road that years ago we used to mow, maintain for. And then with that, then the county would assist Warsaw with some different engineering, maybe with the road program and things, just because they have paid engineers and we don't have to pay them. So there are options for some of these things, but it all takes time and money. And we have time, but the money's short.
Okay, thanks, Rick. So Glenn, the final answer for this question, infrastructure and road maintenance. What are your plans for improving and maintaining Warsaw's roads and overall infrastructure? And how do you intend to prioritize and fund these projects?
Okay, years ago, I heard about the roads. That was pretty much a priority here, and it really hasn't changed too much, but the money is hard to get. The grants, I've got several people that will help step up and help write the grants to try to get the money. But also, I've looked into, and I'd have to look into the legalities of it and stuff, but let's say that we're going to buy pothole mix. Well, maybe we can get it cheaper if Hamilton and us buy it at the same time in bulk rate. And also equipment. I want to try to get the townships and all together. And let's say we have to rent something, then we can reduce the cost of that by them renting it, us renting it, and using the equipment and turning it back to them when we're done with it, as far as cost. So the other things, I asked a lot of questions with people about the potholes and stuff, and everybody goes back to the same thing, the base and how to put down and all like that. I'm not an asphalt person, but I would research that and find out, make sure that it is done the proper way and fulfilled all the way, because there are a lot of roads, including mine, that don't even meet the minimum code for width. And the last time that the road was done, I was approached by Tyler to pay for the coating. And I said, fine, we would donate some money towards that in order to get it all done, but everybody had to chip in, which we did, and we did get it coated. There are several problems with the material, which I found out, and that has to be addressed too. I would have to find out how much money we have available and that kind of thing to do anything specific to them. Like Rick said, they're in bad shape, but they've been that way.
All right, thanks, Glenn. As we go to the next question, Warsaw, everybody that lives here and most people that pass through realize the beautiful waterfront that we have and what an asset it is to our town. And you know, it's beautiful the way it is. It has many things that could probably be done to improve it and make it even better. We're like the only public boat ramp in the whole pool. So anyway, the next question has to do with riverfront development. And Rick, you'll be the first one to answer. And so as far as riverfront development goes, as I said, the Mississippi River is a significant asset for Warsaw. What are your plans for the riverfront to enhance its economic, tourism, and recreational potential?
I'm having a tough time.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so thanks. Sorry about that. Yeah, and also, the internet's asking if everybody would, if you guys would hold your mic a little closer. I'm just, making excuses.
The Mississippi is a big asset. Back in the 70s, I used to have a boat. We used to spend every weekend in the river, skiing. And then we'd go down to the sandbars. And it was enjoyable, the fishing and stuff. The Mississippi has changed. It's mud. I think we're going to have problems because back in the 70s and the 80s, the Corps was still dredging the Mississippi. They don't dredge anymore. If they do, they just pump from one location and put it right back in. It does not come to the shore. So this product, just like the elevator right now, it's a constant struggle for them to load a barge because of the way the currents are changing, because they are not maintaining the current or the channel like they used to. So just as I say, the elevator's having the same problem. Today, I went down to the harbor. The harbor's frozen, so it doesn't make any difference. The harbor's been a mess ever since it was designed. All it does is back in mud. You're never going to stop that. So the outside dock is the one that everybody needs to use. Today, one side is completely mudded in. That's how bad it is down there. So, and next year it might be flooded. This year we're not going to have any water in the Mississippi. We're not going to be able to utilize the riverfront other than the front, not the Mississippi. So it's really hard to allocate too much funds to the Mississippi because next year, like I said, we could go down there and build shower houses. We could do all this stuff. Next year it could end up down at mine because it flooded. Can't insure that stuff. It's gone. Once it's gone from here, it's gone. There's a possibility of maybe setting up some permanent camping spots down. I know there's a lot of people against that, but that would bring people into Warsaw that aren't boaters necessarily, but they enjoy the riverfront or just enjoy getting away from their home. They're going to pay a fee to live or stay down there on the weekends or stay forever. They can live there. That would be a possibility on some of the riverfront area, not necessarily right where the ramps are now, but north of that. And there just has to be other things that we can do down there because, as I say, the boat harbor is a wonderful thing. It's not the only responsibility Warsaw has. We have the whole town. So we have to, watch what we spend down there. It can't leave Fairground or Haynerhoff, any of these other projects that are around town. Everything can't go to the riverfront.
All right, thank you, Rick. And so, Glenn, you're the next person to answer the question about Warsaw riverfront development. The Mississippi River is a significant asset for Warsaw. What are your plans for the riverfront to enhance its economic, tourism, and recreational potential?
Well, I'm not an expert on riverfront, but I would look for ideals from the community, and then it would have to be done by engineers, I'm sure, to figure out what we could do. But the cost would be one thing that would be reflected in that. And I'm kind of like Rick was saying, it floods out. It seems to me like, well, when I first came here, I was like, this is the darndest thing I've ever seen. You go down there and pick up the dirt, haul it up to the hill, and watch it wash back down in the spring. And it's like a vicious cycle. So if that's what the majority of the community wanted to do, then there are people that can help with that and try to develop a project. I mean, I'm not against anything like that. Anything for revenue in here. We don't have factories. We don't have any. We need to bring the people to come in and drop their money and go back home. And that's one way that we could do it with festivals and things like that, fishing tournaments, stuff like that you could come up with that and have an entry free and things like that, and build the money to develop stuff.
All right, thank you, Glenn. And so, Jeff, On to you, riverfront development. The Mississippi River, again, is a significant asset for Warsaw. What are your plans for the riverfront to enhance its economic, tourism, and recreational potential?
Well, like you guys know, the Freedom Fest is trying to build and build and build. The money that they're making, essentially, it's going to go down to the riverfront. So it won't cost the city a dime. But the problem is we're trying to generate up revenue. They do have a plan in place. I'd love to see that happen. And it's not my place to tell everybody their plan because I'm not ahead of that. But the city of Warsaw doesn't spend any money at the riverfront, just to let you guys know.
Okay, thank you. And at this point, I just want to thank the candidates for giving us your perspectives on all these things. I think it's interesting to everybody to hear your particular point of views, and I appreciate that. And I think the people at home enjoy it too. I'm not reading all the comments. I can see everyone once in a while, but it's very nice to be able to hear what you guys are thinking. We appreciate that. So moving on to the next question, Glenn, you'll be the first one on this one. And I think you've all mentioned it a little bit. Blight and property maintenance. So what steps would you take to address vacant or deteriorating properties in Warsaw? And how would you encourage property owners to maintain their buildings?
Got a few ideas on that. It might not make neighborly happy people with me, but I realized the deterioration of the buildings and what can be done. I also think that I noticed that there's a few seasons where the ladies have come together and painted windows and stuff. So I think that's, we need to get together and have community events to where we can upgrade things. I mean, even if we painted the front of these buildings and that type of thing. There's a lot of things that we can do, but it takes not just one person or 6 people on the council to do it. And I think that we need to try to create a time just like the Earth Day and go out and pick the trash up, things like that, that would help to improve the looks of the town. And as I say, when I first came here, I noticed the bus, I think it was for the Mormons, would stop and people would tour. Now they just go through it. Same thing with a lot of the motorcycle groups and stuff like that. And I think that all, the bicycles and groups, and I think we could do some improvement and start some events to where we could draw in the revenue to improve the looks.
All right, thank you, Glenn. Jeff, you're next. Blight and property maintenance. What steps would you take to address vacant or deteriorating properties in Warsaw? And how would you encourage property owners to maintain their buildings?
That's a struggle we deal with at every council meeting, to be honest with you. Consistency. We need to hold everybody accountable for their stuff. Get a set of rules in place and everybody has to follow the rules. Start enforcing the codes even further. Maybe set up a special committee that's all they focus on is just vacant properties. And they go down through and hold everybody accountable for it, report back to city council. Some buildings need to be torn down. Unfortunately, it costs a lot of money to tear down a building. I don't know if anybody's checked into it, but it's a pretty penny. And then if we start leveling on buildings on Main Street, then we lose our uniqueness. We won't be Warsaw anymore. We'll just be like a flat land. I would like everybody just to do what they're supposed to do, take care of their properties. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, and we'll move on. And Rick, as far as blight and property maintenance, what steps would you take to address vacant or deteriorating properties in Warsaw? And how would you encourage property owners to maintain
their buildings?
Well, forcing the owners to maintain their property is going to be hard. If they're financially able to maintain their properties, we're going to have to be strict with them. We're going to have to be firm with them. Let's not pussyfoot around and say, oh, let's give them some more time. Let's give them some more time. And, basically I'm speaking on the Main Street properties right now. They own them. It's their responsibilities. The city cannot afford to undertake tearing down Main Street. Because if they're going to start tearing down this building or that building, they might as well start at the end of the block and take the whole block, because that's what it's going to take. And one building, probably $100,000 on Main Street. I know that's what it costs in Killen. Look what they're doing now in Killen. They've got 2 or 3 buildings on next to where they tore one down. They said no more of that. And they're rehabbing those. I'm not sure who's paying for it, but they look beautiful. The work is being done. As far as the houses in town, a lot of houses are being torn down. Once they're gone, they're gone. Nobody's building in Warsaw. Why? Why would they come? The uniqueness, when you tear down these old houses, you're losing the uniqueness of this town. The old buildings, the old houses. The John Hay, that was a historical building. It's a vacant block with a wood pile. That's all it is. That's a shame, but it happens. And there are a lot of older people that do, because this is a business. And I think we have to look at some of these people, instead of bitching about their property, maybe we can help them on the weekend. Well, let's get together with some of the kids in the school or volunteers and cut the grass. Help them pick up some. When we have a citywide, they may not be able to get that stuff. Let's help them out, get that stuff, get it out of their yard, and clean up the town.
All right, thank you, Rick. Okay, I think each of the candidates have touched on the next subject as far as that goes, pertaining to several of the questions so far. And so, Jeff, you'll be the first one to respond about securing grants and external funding. So how do you plan to obtain state or federal grants and other funding sources to help Warsaw grow, improve infrastructure, and support community initiatives?
There's money out there for us, even for the streets. We just need to work for it. We have to work with a grant writer, so all of us agree up here, and try to get something lined up to where we can get some money, revenue coming in to put into our town. I'm dedicated to sit there and work right next to the grant writer and do what we can just to get it done. And so we can start moving forward and rebuild Warsaw.
Okay, thank you. Rick, securing grants and external funding. How do you plan to obtain state or federal grants and other funding sources to help Warsaw grow, improve infrastructure, and support community initiatives?
Yeah, I've touched on this, that I'm not a grant writer. I don't believe there's any in town. Years ago, when I worked for the city, we used some in Macomb. They wrote a couple grants, and I believe we received the money. So it's just going to take a lot of grant writing. But everybody was cutting back. The state of Illinois doesn't have any. The feds are cutting back. So it's going to be hard to get money, this grant money. It's not going to be as available as it used to be. As we know, they're cutting back in Washington, D.C., and that's going to be a trickle-down effect to everybody. So we're going to have to watch what, like I say, we would have to pick and choose what grants we would like to write. If we're paying for them, we want to shoot our odds if we get a good grant and get the money. If we can write them all day long, but it's just going to cost us our money. So it's just wishful thinking, but we'll do the grant when we can afford.
All right, thanks, Rick. Glenn, securing grants and external funding. How do you plan to obtain state or federal grants and other funding sources to help Warsaw grow, improve infrastructure, and support community initiatives? So what would your thoughts be on how to obtain outside money, state or federal grants and other funding sources to help Warsaw grow and improve infrastructure?
Well, I have several people that have already written grants, quite a few grants that would probably help in that situation to reduce the cost and all. And we would have to pick a priority. I want to see the community. I want to set up a system where the community puts their involvement, what the priorities are first, and then we work on that specific problem and trying to get the grant, to get the money to do that. So my thing is to ask the community what, their opinions. It can be easily done by Facebook or something else on the water bill or whatever. And then we work on that. I think that one of my friends, Darren McCarthy, some of you know him, he's written quite a few grants, and he turned to Catholic school around in Keokuk by getting grants to put new lighting in and things like that. But he also made a income for them by having a cellular tower put on the property. So there are things that we need to look at, but that all has to be in agreement with the community.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Yeah, so that's kind of how to, what the thoughts are on getting outside money. So the next question kind of comes back into the city itself. And Rick, you'll be the first one to answer the question of city budget and financial management. So how will you ensure financial responsibility and transparency in managing Warsaw's budget? What measures would you implement to prevent overspending while funding necessary projects?
Well, we have a full-time city clerk currently. I don't see it going away anytime soon. And it is their responsibility to maintain the books. Money coming in, money going out. That is their job. I say there, whoever is in that position at the time. It's not the mayor's job to maintain the books for this town. And we need to keep track of the money. And there's going to be a budget where it's going to be line items. So much for phone, so much for this, whatever it might be. There's going to be line items. It'll be a published budget, whatever the fiscal year is. And if you go over that budget, you have to have an amendment to the budget. You just can't go and spend more. If your budget's $500 for that line item, you can't just say, well, we're going to spend another $1,000 because. Number one, it's illegal. You have to make an amendment to that budget. And we're going to bid, if I'm mayor, we're going to bid anything in this town that's over $1,000. It's all well and good to call and get a cost. Okay, well, we got this. Recently, we bought a snowplow in this town, and we bought some new SCADA system. And, well, we got a good deal. Well, did we? Did we bid it? Competition's a good thing when we're on the receiving end of the savings. So it should be bid out there and separating the departments. I understand that a few years ago, they made it where you could combine water, sewer, and streets and just have a utility. So you didn't have to track. Well, I think that might be a problem. You need to track. How much are we spending in the street? How much money are we spending in the water and sewer? That's important because we don't want people, like I say, this is a bedroom community. There's a lot of people on fixed income. We should not be raising the water rates for any reason unless we need to. And currently, we're raising them every year. That's unheard of. There's no other community in the state of Illinois that does that. You know, if Cameron come to you and said, well, we're just gonna raise your electric bill 5% every year, you're gonna tell us, you're not gonna say anything. Nobody is. And we shouldn't do that either, because we should control costs. There's benefits to what we have here. But, you know, if we couldn't afford our water department, Hamilton's gonna hurt themselves. If we can't afford to operate this water treatment, Hamilton's in trouble now. I mean, I'm not saying to bail them out, but they lost Carthage's water. They're not selling Carthage. They built a plant capable of taking care of Carthage. They're capable of taking care of Warsaw. It could possibly be a savings if that's what it comes to. I'm not promoting to close down the water plant. There's no reason to. I'm just saying, this is a business. We have to operate the city as a business, not as a welfare business. So if we can't afford something, we gotta look at alternatives. That's what it amounts to.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Glenn, you're up next. City budget and financial management. How will you ensure financial responsibility and transparency in managing Warsaw's budget? What measures would you implement to prevent overspending while funding the necessary projects?
Well, first of all, the problem with the budget and all is not one person's fault. It's a buck stops at the mayor's office. That's it. He has to oversee everything. As far as the budget, I would have to have it audited, and then I would like to be printed out for everybody to see, transparent, and someone to come in and audit more than it's been audited. And what I understand the difficulty that they've had in the past, I don't know. Seems like there's a long span of time that this went on, so you need to have a third party come in and oversee that budget, whether it be somebody in town or what. But that's what I would do. And there's a lot of grumbling about that right now, but like I say, it's not just one person's problem.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And so Jeff, again, the topic, city budget and financial management. How will you ensure financial responsibility and transparency in managing Warsaw's budget? What measurements would you implement to prevent overspending while still funding necessary projects?
It's pretty simple. If it ain't broke, fix it. A budget, we have one every year. We have a budget meeting. We do have everything laid out. We take into consideration for incidentals. So we do have a little bit of wiggle room. We don't blow money on things that we don't need. Yes, we did need a new snow plow. That's because the other one was just rotted out. We couldn't mend it anymore. We've been mending that thing for years. Our financial records, I believe, are published in a local newspaper. I'm not 100% sure if they're monthly or quarterly, but they are open for the whole town to see. But I am aware a lot of people don't always get the newspapers. So we need to work on getting that out there so everybody understands where our budget is.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Again, thank you guys for answering these questions. They're tough questions. The committee that put these together didn't hold back. These are the questions that these guys will face, whoever it turns into the mayor or gets elected as mayor. And they're the same sort of questions that small towns all across America are running into. And it's tough. So we appreciate you guys, putting your thoughts out. And so, we have a few more questions that we have prepared. And so also I'd like to ask anybody online or here, if you think of a question that we don't broach, go ahead and jot it on the chat. My guys will check it out. And if you have one here, you can write it down or let one of these guys know about it. Please do that. We'll have a little bit of time after we get done with the prepared questions. So, things come to mind that we might try to get answers for. Again, appreciate it though. So the next subject, I guess, and I think it's been mentioned a couple of times tonight, maybe, is working in collaboration with neighboring communities. And so, Glenn, you're the first one up on this question. As far as collaboration with neighboring communities, how do you plan to work with nearby cities and counties to address shared concerns such as economic growth, infrastructure, roads, and environmental sustainability?
Okay, I think that probably need is like a small breakfast meeting or something like that amongst the mayors and to communicate to each other what the problems are, what we think we can do to solve them at the minimal cost. As some of you all know, I have a little insight on Hamilton, but that is one of my major things there is to group this township and these communities together so that we have a force that someone has to listen to, reckon to. And I want to either have it, I can have the meetings here, or we can just jump around each little township and all like that. But that's where we need to have the time to spend together and put our heads together for an answer to some of these problems that every little town's got. And like I said, it's not in their best interest for these little towns to live. As you well know, you can see they're deteriorating. And we need to put together a force to stop that.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Jeff, as far as collaboration with neighboring communities, how do you plan to work with neighboring cities and counties to address shared concerns such as economic growth, infrastructure, including roads, and environmental sustainability?
I do my best to make connections with Hamilton, Carthage, any small town in Hancock County. And set up to where maybe we can have a monthly meeting. We sit here and just brainstorm and try to come up with ideas to where we can all just work together. Try to get this little area in Illinois to grow some. Without sitting down bouncing ideas on people, I won't get too far.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, Rick, collaborating with neighboring communities, how do you plan to work with nearby cities and counties to address shared concerns such as economic growth, infrastructure, roads, and environmental sustainability?
Well, as Glenn and I both said, talking and dealing with the possibility of combining forces, workforces or equipment forces with Hamilton. And we use Hamilton back when I was in school. We wouldn't even talk Hamilton when I was there would be no. But now that the climate's changed, it has to. As I said earlier, I went to work for Common Fields. At that time, there were 3 towns down there outside of St. Louis: Allerton, Centerville, and Cahoga. That's one town. That's how they're trying to get around. They're trying to get bigger. I mean, with those 3 communities combined, now it's one community. It's approximately 25,000 population. They're hoping to realize more money, but that's not an option because we're not that close to neighbors with Hamilton or anybody else. One other option would be such as the Warsaw Township. Warsaw is one of the few, I believe maybe 3 in the state of Illinois that has a township that does not have a road. They maintain no roads. Maybe a possibility that we need to give them back the roads that was taken away a lot of years ago for whatever reasons. But look, we won't get into that. Because let's just say that bridge replacement in the Warsaw, right? Everybody's looking at that. They're saying, we can't afford it, which we can't. Township might. Townships can get money for bridge replacement that we might not be able to get. We don't need a freeway down there, but it sure would be a lot nicer to be able to go to the lagoon, to check the lagoon, or these guys that go down to the cabins, or the farmers that are checking their fields, to have access there. So there is a there is a reason for the township to exist beyond Watson. Watson is a wonderful thing. Township needs maybe to take on some responsibility and take some burden off the city owners. And then it's understandable that they could not hire their own workforce. They had to hire forces to maintain those roads. Again, it's a win-win for both entities. So there are a few options, but whether it could be a reality, that's another thing.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Okay, and the next topic is public safety and crime prevention. And Jeff, you'll be the first person to answer. And this concerns, given concerns about property crime in certain areas of Warsaw, what strategies would you implement to enhance public safety and reduce crime rates?
Well, build or keep building on the relationship with the local law enforcement would be one thing. Try to get the kids involved a little bit, let them take pride in our town, keep them busy. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, you did something wrong, and before you got home, mom and dad already knew about it. So maybe we need to be more neighborly and hold our kids accountable for things and just push them in the right direction, get more active in the community.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Rick, you're up on this one. Public safety and crime prevention. Given concerns about property crime in certain areas of Warsaw, what strategies would you implement to enhance public safety and reduce crime rates?
Well, I was unaware of the crime, but I don't get around that much. I do know that there was a truck recently stolen in Warsaw. They found it. And that just to let everybody know, take the keys out of the ignition. But the police force in Warsaw has always been a problem. When I was growing up, we had local police. Not that they were bad, good, or indifferent. Today, what they get paid, their benefits and stuff, that just offsets what Warsaw can afford. Here again, it could be a possibility. Hamilton has a huge tax. They have the court. They have a couple small businesses up there, factories up there. So they have a tax. They have a police force. There's a possibility maybe we can go up there and at a cost, not free. Such as the county right now. The county's doing this at a cost to us. They're going through the labor problem. So I think we're not getting the coverage because they don't have it. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's a hard thing. Can we afford one? No, we can't. But we do need some policing in this town because we've allowed these four-wheelers side-by-sides on the road. And it's not so much the tags and things. I mean, I drive one, I see me in it. But there's a lot of abuse to that. A lot of abuse. And there's a lot of abuse to the point where kids are driving these things. Let one kid get killed. Let one kid get hurt. It's too late. And that's up to the parents to police their kids also. Don't just give them the keys and say, oh, he can drive. No, there's rules, there's laws against that. We don't want to mess this up. We don't want no child hurt just because their parent feels that they can drive these roads because we don't have a police. So he's not going to get pulled over. He's not going to lose his license or anything. That's the problem with this current situation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rick. And Glenn, what are your thoughts on public safety and crime prevention, given the concerns about property crime in certain areas of Warsaw. What strategies would you implement to enhance public safety and reduce crime rates?
Okay, I kind of agree with Rick on that with the rent-a-cop. Maybe the guy in Hamilton, one of those cops is behind in payments or whatever, needs some extra money. So you have him rent him out as a random. I'm not checking the legalities of all this, but have him randomly come through. Another thing that I don't understand, there's never an Illinois state trooper through here. And I would like to ask the police department why that is. So if you have a policeman that's the cousin of so-and-so and the uncle of this one and that, well, they're going to get away with a lot of stuff. And also you have ordinances in this town that aren't being followed, that's for sure. They need to be looked at and make sure that the person that is not following those ordinances is either fined or whatever to correct that action. But I think that my idea of that would be like, I grew up with an undercover police officer friend of mine, and it's random, and they always used another vehicle so that nothing was, and I think that's what needs to be done here. That's what I would put in effect if I became mayor.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. The next question, and again, these are difficult questions. There are questions that are hard to find answers for and fun them for that matter. So appreciate you guys, again, your thoughts on all this. So the next area that the committee came up with as far as a topic was tourism and local attractions. Warsaw has the historical district and has a historical significance and potential as a tourist destination. So what steps would you take to boost tourism and attract visitors while preserving the town's charm? Sorry, this is for Rick, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I gotta say and give kudos to is the Lions Club and the Chamber of Commerce, because they're doing an excellent job in town. And they're gonna do more than I can do, no question about it. They're organizing different parades and things like that, it's just Warsaw, as I said earlier, the John A. home is gone. Most of these historical homes are gone. So the one thing that we do have that shows our history is the different museums. I would like to see during the summer months, there again, it would be on a volunteer basis that, maybe we could, anytime that there's a organization having something going on in town, that the museums are open to the public, which would be up to the museums to man those so that, because the history of Warsaw is in pictures only. That's a sorry thing that we have at this time, but that's better than nothing. We do have a lot of history in this town. But like the pickle factory, and I understand the brewery's still there, but not really. It's just a shell of a building. So there's very little structural historic buildings left. So the museum is where we're saving that for the people today. And I'd like to see the museums open a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Glenn, as far as tourism and local attractions, Warsaw has historical significance and potential as a tourist destination. What steps would you take to boost tourism and attract visitors while preserving the town's charm?
Okay, I would get with the Chamber of Commerce and we'll see what their ideals are on that in the community, and then have to advertise around a lot. I mean, I've done a lot of tourism stuff in my lifetime, Florida to Maryland, Virginia, and Missouri. It's all in the advertising of what you're having, like a crash or something like that. And that's one of the things, like I said earlier, the trees are beautiful. Are they used to attract anything? And it's, there's a lot of potential, fairgrounds, there's a lot of potential to do that, but you also have to create events that the community will like, not just like a beer fest or something like that. That even though that would be some younger guys and it did my days, but it's not going to do with it. As we said, we're a lot of senior people here. So that's what I would do is come up with the Chamber of Commerce, have some meetings and figure out what they want to push and all, and then do the advertisement and start it. I mean, when I first came here, my wife and I, we worked on the first new community picnic up there, and we got sponsors to pay for all the food and worked on that. And it turned out quite a few people. We were told, you're crazy, you're going to have 100 people. And I guarantee you there was 1,000 people there. That was the free hot dogs and stuff like that, but it's a start, like doing like this type of thing and building on it.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And Jeff, as far as tourism and local attractions, Warsaw has a historical significance and potential as a tourist destination. What steps would you take to boost tourism and attract visitors while preserving the town's charm?
I would take an approach where we create a new committee. It's focused especially for tourism and development. The committee would work with collaborations with the chamber, Lions Club, local businesses, to improve the marketing and target for commercials and using social media to showcase Warsaw as unique. Committees work closely with the Historic Society to preserve the town's heritage. One thing they can do is put them little walking markers out that when people kind of walk through our town, they can interact with the town and read a little bit about our history. Make them want to bring their friends come back. We start getting people coming in and the business developing, the town's going to start growing. We're going to start having a lot more revenue. Even digital guides. Try to get people awareness of where we actually came from.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. And so we've got a question that has been posed by a member of the public. And so we've been asked to present that. And so in this one, Glenn, you'll be the first one to answer, and then Jeff, and then Rick. So I'm trying to keep track here. So the question is, what's your current relationship as far as knowing the person or, getting along with them, I guess, if any, with selected city council members and aldermen? And how well do you think you will be able to work with them if elected?
That's a lot of experience, wisdom, and stuff. I worked with roughly 57 people in personalities. You have to see what their thoughts are on it, and then not take a quick judgment. Or it has to. A lot of the questions and stuff that are problems that needs to be put back out to the community, not just 6 people or whatever to make those decisions, because you need to get, we all know it's called the good old boy syndrome, and then that needs to change, and I would like to see that change so that it goes back to the community helping. And as far as working with somebody, like I said, I worked with 57 people, and for 32 years, so trust me, I could experience the people.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And Jeff, you're on the council, so you kind of know this one a little bit, but what's your current relationship with elected city council members and aldermen? And how well do you think you can work with those folks if elected as mayor?
Well, I stay with them every last Wednesday of the month, so we get along with them real well. We do kind of a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's what we try to do best for Warsaw. I'm pretty open-minded. I'd like to be fair. I'm not quick to judge. I like to listen all the way through people's ideas and give them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm pretty good at it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And so Rick, you're up next on that question. What is your current relationship, if any, with elected city council members, sitting city council members, and aldermen, and how well do you think you'll be able to work with them if you are elected?
Well, some of them are going to be up anyway, so that's not the same ones, same as the mayor. And working with 6 other gentlemen or 6 other individuals, that's a respect issue. They show you respect, they get respect. If you don't get the respect from them, it's hard to give them the respect also. So it is a two-way street, but I have no problems with the current individuals on the council.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Okay, so we have another question from the public, I guess. Let's see, in this one, Jeff, you'll be first, and then Rick, and then Glenn. And so, what will be the top priority on your first Warsaw City Council meeting as mayor?
Well, top priority being getting some members in there for all aldermen in there. Because like Rick did say, we got a couple of them that are leaving. So we got to fill those vacant seats. That's top priority. That way we make decisions for our town.
All right, thank you. And Rick, you're up next. So what would be your top priority on your first Warsaw City Council meeting?
Getting to know the people, the other individuals that are there. I'm not even sure if there's anybody running for the vacancies. If there's not, then we need to get our heads together to find other candidates to fill those vacancies. That'd be the first.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Rick. Thank you. And Glenn, you're up on that one. What would be the top priority on your first Warsaw Council meeting?
Well, first of all, it would be to hear out what's been in the past and get associated with each person and get their character, and also see what's the priority in the town at the moment or emergency. I want to get to a situation where it's not put the fires out, a lot of preventative, because that's what I was trained to do and stuff, and it's a lot easier, life's a lot easier, less stress and all like that. So, but as far as the council meeting, it would be to go over the budget and get acclimated with the people and in the community and what their priorities are.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that. And I might say, as Rick mentioned, he doesn't know if there are, all the vacancies are being, have candidates running for them, which is a issue countywide, statewide. I think there are a lot of vacancies in different municipalities or offices that are out there. It's difficult to find folks that are willing to give up their time and to devote to trying to do these kind of things. Everybody has a lot going on, and it takes takes a lot of courage for folks to jump in and run for these offices and do things. So we have one more question that's going to be from our committee, but we've taken the last couple from the community at large, and we'd like to actually open the room up if anybody has any questions here they'd like to ask. And I'm sorry. Yeah, just feel free. Do we have anybody? Oh, I'm sorry. My wife Gina's got the mic. She's taking it to somebody right now. Sorry about that. And first up, I'm sorry. First up will be. I'm sorry. First up will be. Let's see. It'd be Rick.
Right. So my question as a person pretty new to Warsaw that is spending a lot of money rehabbing one of the historical homes in our area. And every time we do something, our taxes go up. So we have to pay more for improvements. So my question is, what are your plans as far as putting some of that burden on the homeowners that are neglecting their property and getting code enforcement started?
Okay, well, I can answer that. That's gonna be hard, almost impossible, because the city does not control the taxing base. County does. The state does. So we don't set the parameter. The only thing we do is find out how much our tax base is and then set the amount we're hoping to get. But as far as how much every property is taxed, the city has no say in that. Sorry, because I would like mine lowered too.
Okay, thanks, Red. Glenn, do you need the question repeated or are you okay?
That was one of my first questions and one of my observations when I first started looking at people don't fix their house up, but if you do, your taxes double. So I'm not sure what the answer is to that. I would like to go out. I tried to ask Alan Jenkins that when he was here, and he's not here anymore. So I would like to go out and see what is the rule of thumb for how they do that, because it just, I mean, there's no incentive whatsoever to fix your house up. And that needs to be corrected somehow. Whether it can be or not, I don't know, but I would be the first up there to ask about that.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Jeff, did you need to have the question repeated or are you okay? Okay, thanks.
And unfortunately, the county assessor sets our tax rate for how much you pay in taxes. And when people don't want to take care of the properties, unfortunately, that's what happens. And then it's been run down, and it's on the city trying to enforce the codes to get them to clean it up, and then we're back in the big vicious cycle. Unfortunately, there's no correct answer to that besides we have to deal with the county. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. All right, are there any, does anyone else have a question from the crowd? Okay. Wait, Glenn's first. I'm sorry. Okay.
Buildings.
We'll let Rick go first. Glenn, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was originally my thought too. If you're gonna buy a building, take care of it. If not, don't buy it. And the situation that I see right now is I actually have a plan that I think will work without PO the person off, but I think I would push that problem back onto them, and I don't really want to elaborate on that right now, but I do have a plan for that because I've seen it done before. And
Years ago, back then, we got you had all they would have water. Need water. Why did the state years ago? That's how we have the whole thing. We did nothing. We're doing anything right now. Totally destroyed. And we're talking about utilizing Warsaw. We can't utilize Warsaw. All we do is be destroyed like this.
that's correct. We can.
In all 20 years.
Right. There's things that can be done, but like I said, if I'm there, then they've got my idea,
Okay.
my way.
All right, thanks, Glenn. We'll go ahead, we'll let Jeff answer. For those that may not have heard, the issue being talked about is dilapidated buildings and what can be done, to fix the situation or improve the situation, I guess would be a better word to say. So I'll let Jeff address that.
That's been a hot topic for many city council meetings. It's a process. And unfortunately, it takes a long time to get things done. But I do agree 100% with you. If you do buy a building, you should take care of it. If not, don't buy it. That's why we're in the boat we're in right now. And it's costly to take down a building, let's put it that way. We've researched it, but unfortunately, there's a lot of steps you have to get into. That's about all I can really talk about on that one. Well, that was before my time.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And Rick, go ahead. Again, the topic is dilapidated buildings. What can we do to improve that situation?
Okay, the current building that Chris is referring to, I'm quite aware of. And, as I said earlier, don't pussyfoot around with him, go after him hard. The man's not broke. Let's not, we know who it is, doesn't matter. Go after him hard. But on the other token, we don't have to tear these buildings down. As I said, Kilcook is rehabbing a couple buildings now, right on Main Street. And when I was in the Chicago area, they pour the concrete on the ground, stand it up. That's the way to put the back in these buildings. Pour the concrete, form it on the floor, on the ground. You sand it up, connect it to the back of these buildings, then put a good roof on. That's what's causing all the damage on these buildings on Main Street, because they're not getting rid of the water from the roofs. They're leaking down the sides, they're leaking in. There's one on next to the little museum. It's going to go. If she doesn't do something with the side of that building's going to go. And so far, that side of the Main Street is being pretty good, but it's always a domino effect. Once one goes, they all go. And like they were saying, they're painting on that block. They're maintaining. There's people living in those. But if that one starts, it's going to take other ones with it. So we have to stay after these people.
All right, thank you, Rick. And they, this has been one of those things. It's a difficult situation, and some of the buildings are absentee owners brought on taxes years ago. It's one of those things. And that's a difficult situation. And, it's one that each council is posed with, and they try to do things. So another question. Go ahead. And Jeff, you'll be the first one for this one.
Hi, so I just have a quick question for the three of you for a very hot topic that is going on in the community, and it's pretty near and dear to my heart. But we all know that there is issues with animals and animal control and dogs, and problems that we have with dogs. And I would just like to know each of yours opinion on how we get a handle on that, and the vicious dog situation in town.
Let me repeat for the folks online. The question is concerning animal control in town, be it whatever animals are running loose and possibly dangerous. So, Jeff, you'll be the first one to answer this one.
Well, we're gonna have to change the ordinance even more to make it a little bit stricter. It seems like people don't really care with their dogs until I'm running loose. And Which is the only way to really do it is keep fining until they just can't pay the fines anymore, then they have to deal with the repercussions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Rick, you're up next. What are your thoughts on animal control in the town? As far as that goes.
Well, I got a stray cat I feed every day. I lost one stray cat. I mean, they come to my house, and if the dogs come to my house, my wife would have them in the house. So we're very close to animals. And that is a hard one, because I got one neighbor that she puts her dogs out in a fenced yard. I think her problem is she doesn't have a tall enough fence for her dogs. All of a sudden, here she is with chasing her dogs down, usually on my, which I don't care. Don't get me wrong. I don't care. She is at least paying attention to them. But having a dog catcher, the county just dropped theirs. They don't have one. They're not. It's a touchy subject, and you got to find people that own these animals. Like I say, I'm doing a cat. He comes up there, feed. They don't get in the house, but I feed, and I don't want them dead. I'm not going to hurt. But it is a tough subject, because something has to be done. I know there's another dog I seen recently, and I asked somebody about it. It's chained up. It's not running loose. But is anybody maintaining this dog? It looks like it's starving to death. And it's in a vacant house. I don't know. I don't believe anybody lives in this house. Well, that's the other flip of that coin. Let's not be mean to animals. Whoever that is should go to jail. It would be better to put them down, to lock them up, and not feed them. And it doesn't cost much to put them down. But I wouldn't recommend that. But I'm just saying, it is more humane to put them down than to starve them, and to just cut them loose in this community. And if you know the person that does it, that's who you go after. Not that dog, not that cat. The cats are going to end up breeding all over. I know that cat that I'm feeding is. I just don't know what sex it is.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Yeah, it is a touchy subject. So Glenn, what are your thoughts on animal control?
Well, I know that for a fact that they're building an animal facility in Hamilton, so possibly if they have an animal control officer, maybe we can rent them or something like that. Don't have to go through the cost of all of that. Other than that, I would say that the ordinances, I remember, I think it was a year or two ago that I heard child had been bit by a German Shepherd, and it was like the third time, and it was like, I had to put my 2 German Shepherds, and I didn't know it, that they were, when the 2 of them get together, they're like wolves. And they bit my UPS guy, and they're so on. And the guy came to my house, and they were in a fenced-in yard. He came to my house and said, they have to be put down. And unfortunately, we had to go through that trauma of that. But I think fines and aggressive action on this, it just seemed to drag out that incident here. And I was just amazed, because also, like he was talking about, cold weather, you get fined and you can get put in jail back east if you leave your dog out below 32 degrees. Here, you can listen to them bark all night long when it was 0 degrees. And that's not fair. So I think it would be an aggressive thing with an animal control officer, possibly renting theirs or having some kind of agreement, and maybe offering her a reward, picking one up or something like that. So I do have a problem with that myself, because it's just out of hand here. A friend of mine, she takes the cats and gets them neutered on her own dollar, so that the feral cats don't take us down. So that would be my position on that.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Yeah, it's a very difficult subject to broach. It tugs at the heartstrings. it's very difficult for a council. But there are times that things need to be done. So appreciate you guys opening up on that. Are there any other questions from the crowd? Okay, go ahead.
It's not just dogs, cats can be just as bad. I was walking my little dog by a house. This happened not too long after my husband passed away. And these two cats came out of nowhere and they attacked my little dog. She was on a leash. And me, because I was trying to get my dog away. And I ended up in the hospital for 4 days from the bites and scratches. I got an infection. And anyway, I had to take my dog to the vet. And the vet turned it in and called the police. And I mean,
Yeah, that's a poignant story. Yes, it's unfortunate that she ended up in the hospital. We have another question towards the back there. Appreciate you guys again with your questions. Appreciate it. And
about that. I've got a little dog. The people that owns an animal, it's got to take interest in them. I've got a dog. She'll never leave the yard. She'll go down to the road. She won't leave. You can train the dog to do that. And as far as dog tag, how many dog tags has dogs got there? Go to the city hall and get a $5, $15 dog tag. We got it for ours. That's all I got to say about that. But here's the thing. You talk about getting the community together to do things. Well, years ago, we had Bud Thurman at our church. I sat down there and we sat there talking. I said, Bud, I got an attack on here. He said, what? I said, let's get the churches all together and have a fish fry. Bud said, let's do it. I told him, okay. Me and Bud, we got, I bet you, 200 pounds of fish. Over, we went around to the church. Every church got in, and we had a big, they all bought their food. We had a big fry over there. We had a heck of a good crowd. Okay, the next year, we done the same, me and Bud did. Okay? The next year, we had a whole pork thing. Okay? Bud and I was getting old enough, getting tired of it. And I announced over there that me and Bud was going to retire from it. Somebody else was going to take over. Nobody took over. They've never done it since. And this is where you say, get the community, get to doing things. It's impossible unless somebody starts it. So that's for the next if you want to get people interested in this community. I think that's what you've done wrong. Thank you.
appreciate your thoughts, Dick. Yeah, we have time for one more question.
He said, Chris, I get put a project over there. You gotta build it. You gotta shut it off. Because we don't like it to be permanent. We will not tear it out. They would put that back up there. There was that water back. All that mud. Not even. You put a rock on the inside, rock on both sides, that's all. He went through it. Not road condition. But he told me, nobody's gonna tear it out. He's got to do it. He's not. So, that was 15 years ago.
Appreciate your comments, Chris. And I think what we've seen, we have a lot of good ideas from the public, and I would encourage myself, I would encourage everybody to, go to council meetings. You don't have to wait for a council meeting. Go see your alderman. If it's something that needs to be brought up in the city, meet up with your friends and discuss these things like Dick and Chris have mentioned. There can be, it doesn't have to all fall on the city council to do these things or the mayor. So I encourage everybody to get involved as much as you can, as much as you want to if you want to help the city out. So I appreciate that. We have the last question, I think, and you can take a little bit of time to tell us your long-term visions for Warsaw, your long-term vision. And so where do you see Warsaw in 5 years, 10 years? What specific actions would you like to take to turn that vision into a reality? Rick, how do you start this one? And you give us your thoughts on long-term vision for Warsaw and anything else that you want to finish up with. This will be the last question of the night.
Okay. Warsaw is a bedroom community. I don't see that changing 5, 10, 15 years from now. The environment is not going to allow a battery pack to be built in Warsaw again. Things like that are never going to happen. When I was growing up, you did not have to leave Warsaw. There was factories to supply the income for the houses. Main Street had every business possible for your family to live. Those days are gone. And it's not only Warsaw, it's everywhere. Look at Kilsippi Mall. When I was younger and my kids were younger, that was a thriving mall. It's barren now. And whether they ever get it back is another story. But I would like to see Warsaw just clean up the town. We have volunteers in this town. Look at our fire department. Our fire department is second to none because we have volunteers, and used to be, and I'm sure there still is, a waiting list. For what? Go out there and risk your life. That's what they do. I'm not saying we have a fire. Now they're helping the ambulances out with picking up people. So our fire department is second to none. So we do have some good things in town. We have good people in this town. And they just need to come together and see what we can do to improve and make life better. We got a fairgrounds that we used to have horse races, cart races, kind of before, but they used to have the horse shows. The fairgrounds is deserted. I'd like to see Hamilton start playing their ball game. I'd like to see Hamilton and Warsaw. They're playing all the ball games in Hamilton. And I'm not sure, somebody told me that it was because the backstop is the right distance. Well, let's rectify it. That's reasonably easy to rectify. Hamilton should not be able to play all the games. Warsaw should get some of the games also. Put some activity, put some life back into the fairgrounds out there. Sell it. What else is it for? We're mowing it. That's all we're doing with it now. We got the hanger off. Softball is kind of a thing of the past. It's just another thing that's changed. Now it's baseball. My grandkids they looked at one of my softballs at home because that's what I grew up with. They said, "Is that a home-run ball?" I said, "No, it used to be kids play softball. Now it's baseball." Well, they don't play it. They play 2 ball fields. You only need 1. So what are we going to do with it? We need to find something to put back out to make people come to Warsaw. They'll come to Warsaw. Back in the day when we had Oxford Field, they were traveling all over this area, the tri-state area. We had people moving around. Bottoms was coming up here, we're going there, Bow, and all these other small communities. And those are the things, because we all love our kids and would do anything for them, and that's where the money's at. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rick. And so appreciate your time and coming tonight. Glenn, your long-term vision for Warsaw, and feel free to add anything else that you'd like to leave the crowd with and the viewers online. Where do you see Warsaw in 5 to 10 years? And what specific actions would you take to turn that vision into a reality?
Okay, I'm in the survival mode because of what I know from being working in DC and all, and I think that my intentions would be to eliminate any Hamilton, Warsaw, whatever was going on 50 years ago or whatever, and try to join up that town with us in a way that we have a reckoning force to maintain our town. And like a lot of people have said, there's a lot of complaining out here about this and that and that. When we did the community picnic, it was going to be a Lions Club members to help bring the chairs up to the thing. Well, guess what? Bud Thurman and I did that, and you didn't show up. And it was going to be the Boy Scouts that were going to clean up the trash. Mark Benzinger and his grandson did it. But we've got to get the mindset that we need to come up with ideas and we need to do it. And there's an age-old thing that I always, if it's going to take 10 people, get 20. 5 of them aren't going to show up, guaranteed. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take involvement of us. And as you can, in the past, a lot of these things that you all are talking about, the older people were younger and could do it. Now we need the younger people to do the ideas and do the things that we have ideas that we want to do. And that's what it's going to take. That's what I want to thrive with the Chamber of Commerce, to get the community together and do things like that, because it just can't be on a few people's shoulders.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And we'll end up the evening with Jeff, your thoughts. And again, most long-term vision, and also any closing thoughts you'd like to give. Where do you see Warsaw in 5 to 10 years? And what specific actions will you take to turn that vision into reality?
I'd love to see our town thrive on more local small businesses. Somehow get Main Street thriving again. Just make it to where you're proud to be in this town. You love our town. Get to where you can leave your keys in your truck and you ain't got to worry about getting stolen. Just be neighborly. Everybody be friendly. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And I want to, give a sincere thank you to all you three for showing up tonight and giving us your thoughts. And the crowd here, appreciate you guys also coming. It's been, very enlightening for everybody. And, a lot of these topics that we talked about tonight, almost every one of them, difficult, no answers, no easy answers, I should say. And you guys are putting the efforts out to try and find those answers. And good comments from the crowd, good ideas. So, Warsaw has a lot going for it. And I think that is proven by all of the people that are here tonight and you three, as well as the city council and the past mayor and mayors. They've all tried to do their best for Warsaw. And so I'd like to thank the Warsaw Chamber of Commerce, Cass Grunwald as the president, and also Gabe and Alex Nagy. They set up, and Cody Kanaki, they set up the audio video for this evening and allowed this to be broadcast on Facebook. And appreciate all you guys coming tonight as well. So with that, I think we'll close out the evening, and I thank you guys again. Good luck.
That's why I was running. Off the top of the hill. Oh, I'm not. I thought you guys were. Okay. But I'm not.
No, it sounded like it.